Hi everyone. In today's tutorial, we will discuss what is SQLAlchemy library and how we can use this library in Python projects. As you can see that SQLAlchemy is Python SQL toolkit and object relational mapper that gives application developers the full power and flexibility of SQL. It is open source and cross-platform library released under MIT license. The benefit of using this particular library is to allow Python developers to work with a language's own object and not write separate SQL queries. Before you start proceeding with the tutorial, I assume you have a good understanding of Python programming language and you should also know the fundamentals of SQL databases operations like insert, update and delete. I have a Visual Studio Code opened on my machine. Let me create a new folder for this project. SQLAlchemy project. Okay, we are going to open this project into Visual Studio Editor, open folder. Let me copy the path of the folder. Just select folder. There is nothing inside this folder. It's a blank folder. You can see. Now we will create a virtual environment. You can click on View Command Plate and click Python create environment. Just select venv, select the interpreter. We have 3.13. So it will create the virtual environment for this project. All right. You can see that the environment is created and it is also selected for this project. The next step is to install SQLAlchemy library on this virtual environment. Right click and just click on open in integrated terminal. It will open up the terminal. So we will type pip list. We have just pip installed by default in this virtual environment. In order to install SQLAlchemy library, just type command pip install SQLAlchemy and it will collect all the packages from the internet and will install into your virtual environment. We are going to create a demo Python program. Select the project and say SQLAlchemy demo.py. This is a new Python file that we are going to work. All right. We have to just import SQLAlchemy and just print, just take alias for this package, that is db, and say db.version. Okay. Now let's run the program. You will see that a version of SQLAlchemy will be displayed. That's perfect, which means that it is installed in this virtual environment and we can use its feature. So I'm going to show you how to connect SQLite in-memory database, how to create tables, objects, and use them to run the SQL queries. We are going to create an engine object, db.create engine, and we have to pass the SQLite database, SQLite colon 3 slashes shopping cart. That is my database name .db. That's perfect. And then we have to create a connection object engine dot this connect method will create a connection object. Just run the program. There is spelling mistake. It is SQLite. Run the program again. Yeah, it worked perfectly. You just noticed that created a new database on the same location where we are running this program, which means we are referring this in memory database in the same project folder. If you want to see this database through the database management tool, there is one which is available on the internet, that is the SQLite Studio. You can easily download this tool from the internet. I will paste the link into the description box, right? Open this newly created database. So it is here. Okay, now we are connected with this database. Okay, if you want to connect Postgres, MySQL, Oracle, or Microsoft SQL Server database, there are engine configurations available on the website, right? I have a link. It is for Postgres, it is for MySQL, it is for Oracle, it is for Microsoft SQL Server, right? You can change your engine URL in your Python code and you can directly connect with. Okay. So here we have just used SQLite. Here you can see that we have created the engine and that engine is providing us a connection object with the help of this method. Now the next step is to create a new table in our SQLite database. Okay, we are going to create a object. Let me take customers db dot table, that is the function. I'm going to provide a table name. Let me say customers, and we have to create a meta object as well, right? Metadata we will take and db dot metadata. This function we have to use to get the metadata, and this metadata we have to pass on here in this table method. Okay, and then we have to define our columns. That db dot column, we can say id, that would be db dot integer, it would be a primary key, it would be true. Another column we can db dot column, I'm taking name db dot string. Let me take some length, it is 50, and null label equals to false. The another column we are going to take for email id, so I'm going to use metadata dot create all, this engine object we have to pass. So what it will do, it will actually check the database. If this table is already created into the database, it will not create, otherwise it will create. Run the program again. So we have taken a wrong function, that should be a table in upper case. So these methods are also in upper case. All right, now run the program. Yes, so it created the table into this SQLite in-memory database, right? Just refresh your database. See that we have a new table inside this node. Okay, these are the columns that we have just set on this customer object. We are going to create an object for inserting the data. Insert statement. We will use db dot insert function. We will say customers values. For ID, we will say 1, name would be Mike, email.com. We are going to get some result with connection dot execute function and set insert statement here. Connection dot commit has to be used to commit data. Let me run the program again. Now let's see whether it has data or not. Select asterisk from customers. And the query, you will see that the new record is created. There is one more way to insert data. Instead of doing this, let me make a copy of it. We will just use object itself and say insert and then dot values, right? This is the same thing. John to John at the rate test, run the program, run the query again, you will see another record. Now let's see how to get data from the database through SQLAlchemy package, right? Customers dot select, this method is for selecting the data, and then we are going to use fetch all. It will return all the rows from this customers table. Okay, we will not be committing any data. Instead, we will just iterate the result object. If you run the program again, you will see both rows on the console window. You can also filter out data on basis of some clause, we can use that where function. We can say that that is our customers.c, that is a alias for the columns, and then we can say that name should be Mike. Okay, run the program. It will just return you the data where name is Mike. If you want to get only top record from this table, just remove where and say fetch one. This is the method that returns a top row from the table. Okay. Instead of iterating loop, just say a top row, run the program again. You will get a top row from the table. Let's update some data in this table from this tool as well and make sure that updated data is getting retrieved. ID equals to 1. Okay, let me execute this. We have Anthony. Now run the program again. You will get this updated data on the console. You see that we have Anthony as a first top record. Even you select all the data, let me roll back the code and use fetch all method. Okay, let's update some data as well. Create update statement. We will use customers dot date method and we'll say where customers dot column alias id equals to 2. We will set the values and say email is Anthony test.com. Use connection dot execute, pass this query into execute method and use connection dot commit. Okay, then we will retrieve all the data. Run the program. In the second record, we have emails updated. Run this query again. This is updated. Or we have other way around to update the data. You can use db.update and we have to say customers and then where. All right, this is the same thing. Anthony11, run the program. You will see that this is updated. Let's see the delete operation. Delete statement db.delete customers where will copy id is 2. Okay, delete statement, run the program again. So your record is deleted now. Let's check the database again. You see that the record is gone. The last thing which I want to show you is to use other database like MySQL. We will create it now with same code but with different engine. So I have this employee database in my MySQL Workbench database management tool, right? I can see that there is only users table created. What do we want? We want to create this customers table to be created inside this database. So the only change we have to make here is to change the engine settings. This is for SQLite. Another I have for MySQL, right? There is a one function that is being used handling this at the rate sign in the password, right? url_lib.parse import quote plus. This library we also need to install pip install by MySQL package is installed. Now let's run the program. Command executed successfully. Let's check the database. Let's refresh this database. You see that we have customer table. We have not created any row inside. You can see the advantage of SQLAlchemy library that we have just changed the engine. The rest code is still working in the same way. Okay, if you want to insert some records, we will just insert simply. Okay, let me run the program again. So it created the first row. You see, this is the user, this is the password of the user, this is the local host, this is the port that we are currently running with this MySQL database, and this is the database name. Let's check the database, run the query again. You will see that first row is created in MySQL database. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned how to get leverage of SQLAlchemy library in Python. So hit a like button and give me the comment down below of video. Don't forget to subscribe the channel. Thanks for watching it. I will see you in the next video.